Hello, it's Mr. Candy here, and we're looking at multiplying in standard form. This is probably the easiest operation. I know we're usually used to starting off with addition and subtraction, but multiplying is kind of the easiest starting point, I think. So when we multiply and divide, so we'll see that in the next video, in standard form, we do this by treating the decimals and powers separately. So if we look at example 1, we have 2 times 10 to the 3 times by 4 times 10 to the 6. I opted to put these in brackets just to show you that, hey, this first part is the one standard form multiplying by this other standard form. It's not required that they're in brackets, so just keep that in mind. But it's, for the most part, you'll start off by seeing them in brackets like that. So we want to rearrange so that the integers are at the front and anything with an index is at the end of our expression. We know because we have all these multiplied is the reason we can do this. That's the reason we can move stuff around, because in multiplication, it doesn't matter the way we multiply, we'll get the same answer. So we can do it in any order we want, so we can move the terms around any way we want. So what this step 1 means is that we're going to rewrite this as 2 times by 4. Okay? So notice, that's that 4 and that 2. Okay? Then we're going to times that by, and here we're going to keep this 10 to the 3 times by 10 to the 6. So now that actually looks like stuff we've just even recently done with indices. So 2 times 4 is 8. Sorry, don't know why it's not picking up the colors properly. So that is 8. And then we're going to have this times and 10 to the, well, we know the in law of indices say that, well, if they have the same base, which the 10 and the 10 do, we add these together, right? So we're going to get 10 to the power of 9. So, example 2, well, let's do this again. So it's just a little bit harder of a question because we have, I don't know what's going on with the page right now. So we're going to move stuff about, but we'll have to probably do some calculations off to the side because some of these decimals are a little bit harder. So the actual calculations are not, they could say calculate, could say simplify, keep that in mind. Probably would end up saying simplify a lot of the time. So here we can do, well, 7.3 times 2 is just going to be 14, or 7.3 times 2, sorry, 7.3, so 14.6, right? And then we're doing 7.3 times by 0.1, so that's just going to be plus 0.73. So I didn't want to do it off to the side. I was just working it out there. So what are we going to get out of that? We'll get 15.33. And then for here, we're just going to get times 10 to the 11, right? Because we're just adding our indexes. That's the nice thing about standard form. They're always times 10 to the something. So we always know that we're just going to add our indices. So that's why I said the multiplication ones are really easy, because it's just adding indices and multiplying decimals. So this one, last one we got here, we've got, I'm just going to do it over here this time. So 3.225 times by 5.4. Well, first thing's going to be 0. Then our next row down, we can just go through your multiplication, right, guys? So you should be doing this for yourself always, because that's the only way you're going to maintain your skills of multiplying. Because if you don't use them, you lose them. So we're just working through our multiplication one by one. So you might do it a different way, completely fine. This is just my preferred method for myself. So okay. And then don't forget to add the decimal place back in. So we have 4 numbers after. We added in 4 from the right. You could just drop the decimal place, do that normally. You can always go back and check and see, hey, does this make sense? Well, let's drop all the decimals. We have 3 times by 5 as our kind of large whole numbers. 3 times 5 is 15, so we know it's going to be in and around our teens. So 17.55 makes sense. So therefore, we can write 17.55 times by 10. What's our indices? -5 and 2. -5 plus 2 is -3. Okay.